welcome to First and Faloney. This is the week one episode. Reaction from week zero and some five. We're getting ready for 5 straight days of college football. We're recording on Wednesday night, as always, and then we got 5 straight days from here on out with good games pretty much every day except for Friday. Friday night seems to kind of suck, but let's go ahead and get into it. What's new here in the weeds of college football? I got a few notes, and I didn't realize it until the Notre Dame game. There's a new college football rule where the clock doesn't stop after you get a first down. So it's very similar to the NFL. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like that? Do you hate it? Did you get a
I
chance to
hate it.
even see it this weekend with the games?
Yeah, I don't really like it. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like, the NFL, the MLB, you're taking away from the game and the pastime to me.
Yeah, I I,
Uh,
I think it
I
said
don't
it
know. It kind of sucks, man. I think they need to stop trying to base shit off the NFL. This is college. They're already getting paid. Just leave everything else alone.
right, and I think what it did was I was listening to Late Kick with Josh Pate um earlier this week, and I think it cut off about 5 plays per team. Or maybe it was Greg McElroy's podcast, but regardless, I think it cut off about 5 plays per team, which doesn't seem like a lot, but like in the grand scheme of that, that's 5 plays, and 5 plays in college football can be anything. Um,
Oh, that could be a deciding game winner.
right. And so now they're having to learn how to do clock management, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily, but I agree with you as well. Like I miss the day, like it sounds so stupid, but like the pause until the ball's set after the first down, like that's college football, man. Like that made for exciting, a little bit more time to get in a play, get set, get ready to go.
Well, if
Uh,
that's the case, they need to get some younger referees that are going to move the chains a little bit faster.
right. But that was the big rule change that I saw, and I saw it with Notre Dame quite a bit. And we'll talk about the two main games this weekend, the Notre Dame Navy and USC San Jose State, because I got some takes on them. Probably overreaction takes, but I got some takes on them. Um, but I wanted to just get your thoughts on that. Another thing that was new was actually announced early this morning, or maybe even yesterday. Kyle McCord was named the uh, starting quarterback for Ohio State after a pretty good battle with Devin Brown. Any thoughts on that? You worried that they announced it too early or too late, or um, what are your thoughts on Kyle
Uh,
McCord? I know you've been high on him for a while now.
yeah, I think it's his team for now. Like we've always talked about, just about every team coming out of the quarterback battle. But um, I mean, Booker's still going to play. He's going to get his chances.
Yeah.
So I think Ryan Day is probably going to use the first 2 games to see who's the best. Then he's going to choose his true
No,
QB1.
he's announced that McCord's the starter for the season.
I know, but if he struggles
Yeah.
first two
No, I mean,
games
I
and
think
he's
the
being
Notre Dame
outplayed,
game will be telling. If they go down early in Notre Dame and they can't get nothing in, I can see Devin Brown coming in.
that's right, Devin Brown. I don't know why I said Booker. I've been watching too many Booker TV videos.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're not gonna be bad either way. They got an NFL cast of wide receivers still. They have a great offensive line. The only question they really had was I think defensive secondary and quarterback, and then health for their running backs.
Right,
Because
but
they
this
don't have the
also
best
goes
running
back.
back rooms in the country with Mayan Williams and Trevion Henderson. Like worst comes to worst,
Right,
just run it down their throats.
but all this also comes back to one of your Heisman hopefuls, Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
How good is the quarterback going to play to get him to be considered to be in New York?
Well, it was his high school quarterback. I think that's the reason why he edged out in this competition is just because of familiarity. Now I wonder if homeboy transfers at the end of the season since they didn't get the starting job. Maybe Notre Dame. I could see him going to Notre Dame after they lose Sam Hartman. So
Anything can happen these days.
yeah, with the transfer portal, I don't know. And then the last thing I really have, and it maybe our conversation before we started, I can spawn another little brief conversation, but um, Bama still hasn't named starting quarterback. I'm not really concerned because it's Nick Saban. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Um, but I think this is where your theory of they're going to play a half, like taking the page out of John Harbaugh's book. Um, you know, take the first 2-3 games, play a half, see who comes out better.
Uh, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I mean, I don't know if it's more or less a psych you out tactic, but it's kind of scary that the fact that they can't go with one.
Yeah.
It's either it can be a good thing or a bad thing. I
Well,
mean, obviously, it's probably a good thing because it is Bama.
I think they got Middle Tennessee State the first. Yeah, they got Mid
Yeah,
Tennessee State the first game. I think they might
Bama
be
by a
doing
thousand.
it mainly because of the Texas game week 2.
That's what I'm saying, man. If all three of them are in contention, I mean, how? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
and then they had that
tough business.
freshman who's been lighting it up in training camp. That they're not. That Saban's already said he's not going to play. But like, say you lose 3 games, like why not put him in?
I'm with you. Look at MJ Morris.
I have some thoughts on that game when we get to the picks too. And you and
Man,
Libby are gonna hate me for it, but we'll get to that here. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we get into recap of week 0. I assume you've watched the Florida documentary by now. Um, if you haven't, it's actually a very good watch. Got me super hyped. We finished it last night. It got me super hyped for the game. I remember, I forgot how good that '08 team was, and that they lost to Ole Miss. Um, but the things
dude,
that
if you look back at the talent
they,
that team had, I even forgot Cam Newton was a quarterback.
Cam Newton was there, Chris Leak, they shit on Chris Leak, which I didn't like because Chris Leak was a good quarterback. Um, they mentioned Joe Hayden just because of his highlights. He was a big part of it. They didn't mention the Pouncey twins. They didn't
Yeah, they
mention
did.
Carlos Dunlap. Like they
Yeah,
didn't
they
mention
showed the
Aaron
Pouncey twins.
Hernandez. Say that again.
Yeah, they were in the documentary.
They were no, they were only of highlights. They weren't in the like those are storylines like the Pouncey twins. That would have been a wonderful storyline to put in there. Carlos Dunlap getting the DUI arrest in 2009. That would have been a great storyline. Like, I feel like they left out some things and getting as much access as they did with Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow. Um,
Oh shit.
you're gonna have a fluff piece with it. But I also forgot how hard of a hitter Major Wright was when he lit that dude up in the Oklahoma championship game.
And that's another thing too. I'm really surprised they focused a lot. They didn't focus a lot on it, but they actually shared quite a bit of time with Percy Harvin as well.
Right, and like they didn't. I feel like they could have done more with that because, in my opinion, Percy Harvin's up there in like the Reggie Bush category of NCAA player. If he didn't get concussions and migraines, he might have been one of the greatest NFL players of all time.
I met him down in Williamsburg one time at the Alberts. He
He's
wasn't
so
really
quick,
tall, but I mean, dude, you talk about thick and jacked. God,
faster than the speed of light too. Like nobody could catch him. Like it was good. It was a good surface level documentary. It was 4 episodes. I think it could have gone 7 to 8 and gone more in depth. But man, did it get me hyped just remembering some of them names, man. Like Sam Bradford at Oklahoma, Mark Ingram at Alabama, um, a bunch of Snead at Ole Miss, like all of them, man. Like it was just kind of crazy. And like you said, the star power they had on their teams, they didn't realize how good they actually were in that 4 or 5 year span and how many stars they had.
dude, Urban Meyer put them through hell.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, they can't do half that shit no more.
No,
All right. Well, that was our recap of what's new. Nothing really major. It'll be probably a little bit more discussion on games for next week. But we can do a little bit of a week 0 review. Just to go over the records. You, of course, are starting off with the early season lead at 5-0. I am 4-1, and then my locks are 2-3. week 0, the loss that I had was the Jacksonville State game. Now, if I knew Rich Rod was coaching that game, I completely forgot. I would have picked Jacksonville State. Rich Rod, watch out. If they have a good year this year, watch out. And I have a kind of a bold prediction to do at the end of the show, or like in a couple minutes here with some other takeaways. But where do you want to start off? You want to start USC, San Jose State, or Notre Dame, Navy?
Uh, I say we start off with the worst game, the surprise game, and then we'll get to the Notre
Yeah.
Dame.
Yeah. So worst game. I mean, this one was kind of tough.
You have to go.
It was
No,
the
the
Ohio
worst
game.
game,
Ohio
dude. I
versus
thought the
San Diego
USC San
State.
Jose. No, I thought the USC San Jose State game was
Well,
only because
you couldn't watch
USC
it.
gets all this hype. Yeah, but they got all this hype, and look, there's still no freaking defense. Good for
Yeah.
San Jose State.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And that's, kind of talking about that. Let's talk a little bit about that then, because I can see that. I didn't watch it because it was only on Pac-12 network, but I have a few takeaways for it. Like you said, the defensive troubles that we mentioned with USC is still there.
I
Although
watched it.
the only caveat that I had was they were rotating defenses in and out. But with that said, they couldn't catch a cold in the middle of winter. So like it doesn't matter. San Jose State put up 28 points on them. San Jose State covered. The one good thing though that USC has is that Zachariah Branch. My goodness, that freshman, did you see him? Didn't he
No,
give
I
you
didn't.
glimpses of Reggie Bush?
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about now. Yeah,
Oh, he had I think he had a kick return touchdown. He had 4 receptions for like 60 yards. He had like 1 rush for 12 yards. But man, did he looked good. He looked
that he
scary
did.
good. What other thoughts you have on that game?
I think it just goes back to what I said earlier in the year. With me, is all the hype. To me, I have to go back with you to the Pac-12 talk. USC, if they play like they did the other night, they're going to lose 4 or 5.
They're gonna lose 4. Washington, Oregon, UCLA, Notre Dame. And then that's not even Utah.
Yeah. So I don't. To me, that was
It's
pretty
not even Oregon
pathetic.
State that I'm super high on.
To me, I just think that was the most pathetic. I don't know.
I mean, Caleb Williams looked
USC.
good. The offense looked fine, but it's like we have already cited and we've said it 3 times already. Like it's that defense, man. They did not get better, and I don't know how the defensive coordinator still has a job. Like I don't understand. Carolina High School's coach could coach them tremendously better. Like
Shout
guaranteed.
out to them. I think we're 1-0 on the year. Can't
Yeah,
believe it.
no, I mean that wasn't a knock at like Carolina High School by any means, but like I was just saying, like a rural America high school coach could be a better defensive coordinator than what we got going on there. Um, all right, and then best game. What was your best game of the weekend? It was kind of a slower slate, but only like 6 or
To
7
me, man,
games.
I did catch some of this game as I was out and about. I think the best game to me was the UTEP Jacksonville State game, only
Yeah,
because the interception sealed it for Jacksonville State.
yeah, and that's the smallest school in FCS too, like 9,000 students, and their colors are actually pretty cool. Like that was a
Oh yeah,
rated color matchup between UTEP and Jacksonville State, I think.
yeah. So to me, I thought that was the best game as far as getting your money's worth. Uh, if you were there at the field or at the game in the stadium, to me,
Right.
um, the
I thought the
surprise, man. Go ahead.
Vandy Hawaii
I'll
game
see.
I
Andy
thought was
Harai was a
really, really, really
surprise.
good.
That was the surprise to me. I really thought that
Well,
Vandy would have exploded after last
Hawaii
year's
looks
performance.
good.
So this brings me to my point. Is
Second
Timmy
year.
Chang is Timmy Chang bringing back
Yeah.
Hawaii?
Second year, Hawaii looked good. They looked good. The quarterback looked great. Their defense is still a little iffy, but he's second year coach. I was very high on Vanderbilt. I forgot Mike Wright left, which now I'm not as high on Vanderbilt anymore. But I mean, it was a rain delay, like a bunch of things happened. Hawaii had the advantage then because it got later in the day. It's more accustomed to their time. But man, I think Hawaii overreaction, right? After week 0, Hawaii looks good, and I have them actually as one of my locks for this week against Stanford. But they don't look bad, man. Like they don't. The Rainbow Warriors, are they going to come back to when Colt Brennan was the quarterback when they were putting up 50, 60 points a game?
Dude, I'll be honest with you. If they play like they did against Vanderbilt, they're going to be a tough team to match up with.
Yeah. The only other thing I want to put, I know we just talked about Jacksonville State. But I want to one add here a caveat as well. Rich Rod's coaching. I've said it a couple times now. What are the odds West Virginia brings him back if he has a good season this year? And because we know Neil Brown's gonna get fired, like unless Neil Brown pulls it out of his ass.
You really think there's going to be a reunion?
Don't know, man. Wouldn't that be fun to have West Virginia back?
See, this is what scares me about that West Virginia job. Tony Gibson, NC State's defensive coordinator. That's where he was before he came to NC State.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the highest paid defensive coordinators. I think in the ACC, I want to say. So to me, that was going to
He
be
might
one of
be.
mine. If Neil Brown is
Mm.
fired, that was my fear that he would go back to West Virginia to take the head coaching job.
Yeah, I wonder if Rich Rod's at that because he's been at the Michigans now. He didn't, unfortunately, wasn't successful there. I wonder if he goes back to the West Virginia. I wonder if people will associate him with those early 2000s teams, the Pat
Geno
McAfee's, the
Smith,
Geno Smith, the Pat White that
who
was
was
a
the
cheat code on
Matt
NCAA,
White? Who
Pac-Man
was the
Jones,
who was
Pac-Man
the wide
Jones,
receiver?
Steve
Who was the
Slate,
wide receiver
Steve
from
Slayton,
Austin Slate? No, yeah, you're right, Steve Slate.
Steve
Who was the
Slayton.
wide receiver from Orange that went to? You remember him?
Mm-mm.
Ah, shit. He
We
was the
had
wide receiver
Austin there
from
too. They
Orange.
had so many fast people there, and it was so fun to watch. And then there was not a quarterback. I mean, Tebow was in that same era. If Tebow wasn't in that same era, we'd be talking about those West Virginia teams.
Yep. Damn, I can't think of the wide receiver. The Orange played for Orange that Caroline played that year. Big, tall dude.
I don't know. Oh no, and then the last game to kind of talk about for week 0 was the Navy Notre Dame game. One question I do want to ask you about the game. How green was that grass? Oh my goodness. That looked wonderful over there. Like that looked really, really nice. Like that field was great. No, I think I'll get your thoughts on it here in a minute, but like I got a rant that I need to go on here. And this is where my overreaction goes on. Notre Dame looked so good. They had 4 different running backs. Estime looks like a freaking bowling ball. The main running back. They had freshman wide receivers stepping up all over the field. Guess how many times they targeted a tight end that game? Targeted, not a catch. Targeted.
Yeah, at least 15.
0. They
Oh,
had
really? I
0
didn't watch the
targets of a
game.
tight end, and you know how many tight ends Notre Dame's has cranked out in the last 20 years. The defense looked great. I know it was Navy. They just mainly ran the ball, but that triple option can get kind of tricky. Hartman looked like he belonged there. He was making the right throws. Like he looked confident. I'm riding the hype train on Notre Dame, man. Like that got me like Notre Dame by 10 against Ohio State week 4. Like I need to calm down because they got NC State in 2 weeks, but like Notre Dame by 10 against Ohio State, man.
Yeah. So with me, I think I texted you, and I was like, wow, if you know Notre Dame can't stop the run with a triple option,
Yeah,
but the
that's
first drive of the game,
first drive of
I
the
was
game.
kind of, yeah, I was kind of really worried. I was kind of like, all right,
Yeah,
well,
that fullback was running all over
please,
us.
yes. And I was kind of like, oh, please don't tell me Notre Dame is not going to do this. So then it opened up a little bit. But to me, man, wow, damn, did Notre Dame look good. Like you said, I know it was Navy. I understand that. But geez Louise, man, Hartman looked good. Dude, he's got three, four caliber NFL running backs in the team already.
Talk about Estime, dude. Like Estime just
Yeah.
was rolling over people.
Yeah, he
He
had
looked like Derrick Henry.
16 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown, right? Hartman was freaking 19 of 23.
Yeah.
19 of 23 for 251 yards and four touchdowns.
And they didn't open up the playbook at all. They're running the same pass plays. That's it.
So my question is this the year that they finally get it all together?
I don't know, man.
Make noise now. Now, yeah, but they have a quarterback.
That's the
They have,
question, right? Because all the teams that have been in the playoffs, they've never had a quarterback this good.
exactly. But they have a quarterback. He can manage the game really freaking well. He's smart.
Yeah.
The only thing I have a question with is the defense. Is the defense going to hold up when it comes down to the bigger schools?
After that first drive, there was nothing.
That's
They
what I'm saying. Can the defense stay healthy and hold together
right.
to
Well, the
put
defense is their
together?
strong suit, I think, because Marcus Williams is a defensive coordinator coach, and naturally he's going to have them playing up, and that was not a question in the offseason. But you're right. Like, can they stop a passing attack?
Yeah, I mean, can they hold up the air raid attack? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The questions that weren't answered. We know they can stop a running game after what they did against Navy.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the question, and I think the first test is going to be NC State, because it's at NC State, because it's early in the season, and Notre Dame will have 2 wins because they're versing Tennessee State this weekend. I mean, they're going to blow them out. But the NC State game,
Well, how
that's going to
ironic,
be
how
fun.
ironic with the NC State game that the Hurricanes coming this weekend and not in 2 weeks
I
or
know.
next week.
Yeah. Yeah, so for people who don't know, Andrew and his family, Libby and them, and Uncle Mark and them, allowed me to have one of the tickets when Notre Dame came to NC State back when Hurricane Matthew came through. It might have been one of the most miserable experiences I've ever been a part of, but man, was it fun. We were soaking wet. The trees were going sideways. The game was awful, but like it was an experience of a lifetime. That's
I my muck boots
yeah,
and so much water soaked into waterproof clothing.
yeah.
So
It was
much water in my
bad.
hat, going into my eye. A freaking duck could have landed on me and thought it was a freaking pond.
Yeah, it was bad. It was rough. We were cold. Shout out Jesse and Casey for taking us in because our hotel lost power. We got a nice warm shower, wore sweatpants and sweatshirt out to the
Dude,
bar that night. Like it was rough.
I think I drank like 20 double bourbon and close to the night to warm up. No
Yeah,
joke.
that was a rough night. But yeah, the hurricane, shout out. Like, oh, it was a rough one. Hopefully everybody's safe now. I know us here in Fort Myers, we're pretty good, but up north, um, the Apalachicola area doesn't look too good over there. But all right, man, that was week 0. A little bit less of a slate here. It was kind of a bad week 0. The Hawaii Vandy game, I think, was a good surprise. Jacksonville State UTEP was a good surprise, um, but it wasn't last year's week 0 was bad too, but not I don't think it was as bad. And remember us last year coming out, I was all over Nebraska and Casey Thompson going for the Heisman, and then you saw what happened to them. So we'll see what happens this year, and kind of excited to see. So starting tomorrow night, let's go ahead and get into these game picks, man. We got 10 game picks on the slate here. Week 0, looking through the game picks, and a lot of the teams aren't playing good teams, so it's kind of hard to find a tough matchup. So what we do here, for new listeners, is we try to pick the hardest, or I try to pick the hardest games for us to pick. Obviously some homer picks as well. We'll pick NC State often. We'll pick Florida often. We'll pick Notre Dame often. But they're also typically pretty good games that we're picking too. So, but it was kind of a little bit of a tough slate here for most of it. So what we'll do is we'll run through these games, and then we each have one flyer pick of a it doesn't count against our record or for our record, but who we're putting on upset alert for this week. So let's go ahead and start with the games. We're going to start Thursday night, and we're going to go the 2 games. I think there's 3 games we have on the game for Thursday night. So let's start off with the shirt I'm wearing now. Florida at Utah. It was a great game last year. Florida squeaked out the win. Cam Rising, it's still unknown that if he's playing or not. I don't know if he is. I want to lean towards that he's not. As of right now, it went from Utah -7 or favored by 7 to Utah -4. So that makes me think he's not playing. So Utah's favored by 4 points. I'm going with Florida. I believe in Graham Mertz. I think they're solid at running back. The only question I have is their offensive line. I think their defense is solid, but if their offensive line can be average, I think Graham Mertz is a better passer than Anthony Richardson. They got a 2-headed monster in running back. I think their defense is going to be solid. They got that kid from Memphis that was picked up at the D tackle. So we'll see. But I have Florida going to Utah and getting a big win for Billy Napier.
All right. This game I struggled with only
Yeah.
because of the Cam Rising situation. I think Florida is young.
Yeah. Outside of Graham Mertz.
Yes, outside of Graham Mertz, she's got some SEC experience. The thing with this that I struggled the most on my pick is Utah has won 21 straight at home.
Yeah, no, trust me, I'm a big Utah fan, and I do this to him every year.
So, with the likelihood that we don't know really who the starting quarterback is, something about the winning streak at Utah, I'm picking Utah in this one.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
I like I said, Graham Mertz could come out and then explode. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of film on the backup quarterback for Utah, but I'm sure with
Supposed to
them
be a
knowing what's
speed
going
demon.
on with Cam, yeah, with what's going on with Cam Rising, to me, I think that they've worked all fall and all spring, and
Yeah.
now to this fall on building around him. So I picked Utah now.
Yeah, the one thing I worry about is if they did build around Cam Rising too much, is their offense gonna, because their backup isn't a passer like Rising is. He's more of a rusher. Now, Rising is a scrambling quarterback for sure, but it's gonna be a lot of RPOs and stuff like that. And I think Florida has SEC, right? Regardless of the SEC team, the SEC typically has the athletes to compete with anybody. But you're right, man. I mean, Utah at home is dangerous. They beat everybody at home, and that scares me. But my belief, if Cam Rising is playing, I'm gonna look stupid because Cam Rising is gonna destroy him. But the only reason why I'm picking Florida is because I don't think Cam Rising's playing, but like we don't know. It hasn't been announced. Okay, we'll go to the next game on at the same time. NC State at UConn. Last year, NC State beat them by like 30, I think it was. Something like that, 38.
Yeah, we also had Devin Leary and Thayer Thomas.
But Robert and I and Brendan Armstrong are together again, and happy marriage there. NC State's favored by 14 points. Who you got?
You know who I got in this one?
UConn.
Absolutely not. To me, when we talked about this last year with Moore being back, I think that he's slowly
Improved.
getting. Yes, he's improved a lot, but I just don't think. I'm not saying that they ain't, but to me, like a big powerhouse, I don't think that they're going to win the game. I think it's going to be closer than 14. I think Armstrong and the receivers are going to struggle. Okay, bud. Uh, so I picked NC State in this one. Go Pack. Uh, I hope the offense comes out. I hope they run it. I hope they prove me wrong. The thing that's going to help us, I think, is we are underrated this year for the first time in a while. There's not a buzz around the
Yeah.
program this
Low.
year, other than we have one of the fastest defensive
Your defense might be the
teams.
best defense in that ACC.
I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch, but if the defensive coordinator comes out and says he's had Bradley Chubb, he's had Aiden White for a few years. I mean, he's had some pretty good defensive players. I mean, look at Isaiah Moore, Drake Thomas.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had some pretty good studs on the defensive side. If he's saying that this is his fastest defense ever, I'm taking Tony Gibson's word, and I think the defense is going to shut UConn's offense down.
You just said he's had Bradley Chubb, and he said this is the best defensive line that he's ever had. They're rotating 8 people on the defensive line.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like 8 people, and then they got 2 ACC first team
They
All
got
Americans
Peyton. They got
preseason
Peyton
at
Wilson coming
cornerback.
back.
Well, yeah,
They got Peyton Wilson coming back at
Peyton Wilson in
linebacker.
his contract, he has to get 20 tackles a game because he's freaking nuts. Um, you know how that goes. You don't think they're going to win by 14? I think they're going to win by 30 or 40. I think this is a coming out party for Brendan Armstrong, and I think we see MJ Morris in the second half. I love Jim Mora and what UConn said. Like we said last year, UConn's getting there. We said it last year, and they surprised us. We said it last year that they'll be good in like 5 years. They surprised us and went to a bowl game last year. I think that they're right in that same range this year, and then next year is when they'll make that leap when they get into a P5 conference, because I'm guessing they're going to go to the Big 12. I have NC State as well. I have NC State with the points. Like they're beating them by more than
Dude,
two
did you see?
touchdowns.
Did you see the uniform combo?
No, I haven't seen them yet.
Wow,
Yeah.
fresh.
No,
White helmet with Tuffy on the side, the white top and red pants.
that's going to be an underrated uniform matchup too, because I like UConn's all whites too, and they're not going to wear them, but like their dark blues are not bad either. Um, but yeah, I think NC State blows them out of the water. I think they put the ACC on notice. I've been listening to Josh Pate, I've been listening to Greg McElroy, and then Unnecessary Roughness Crew with Brandon Walker and Casey Smith and them, and I'm just getting more and more hyped for NC State, like because they're like you said, they're counting them out right now. But Dave Dorn doesn't have a losing record, I don't think, at NC State, and his defense. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
defense just looks good.
He's got two.
Oh, he's got 2. I think they get
He's
10
got
wins
two in
this
ten
year, man.
years.
I think they. I just have that feeling they get 10 wins. I don't know, or 9 wins, right? Wait, because they only have what 1 10-win season. They get 9 wins this season, I bet. So, okay, and then the next game I think that is on Thursday is the Minnesota Nebraska game that we're going to talk about here. Minnesota Nebraska. I was on the hype train for Nebraska last year. They shit the bed. I'm not on the hype train this year with them. I think in 2 years, Matt Rule will have a good Nebraska team. I'm not a big fan of Jeff Sims. And then the tight end got in trouble earlier this week. I don't know if you saw the video of him breaking into the shop with the brick.
Yeah.
Kind of sad to
Yep.
see, because he was one of the big transfer portal players that they got. I have Minnesota winning. Minnesota's favored by 7. I have them winning as well, though. Not Nebraska's year. I think it's a down year. Rule is notoriously bad in his first year, and then his second year, he's usually a lot better.
Yeah, I picked Minnesota on this one as well.
Next game we have is, I think this one might sneakily be the match of the weekend. It is UTSA at Houston. I think Houston's going to have a down year. From our Big 12 preview, I said that they might have a good year. I don't think so anymore. I think they have a down year this year. New quarterback, new conference. They might be looking into the future here going forward. This game is on Saturday, I believe. I'm trying to find it here as I'm talking. But as of right now, UTSA is favored by 2 points. This is the team I got mixed up with UTEP last year. I love their logo. The blue and orange looks seamless. I have UTSA winning. It's a coin flip game because they're only favored by 2, but I have UTSA winning at Houston, even though at Houston it's kind of scares me.
See, this one right here was another tough one for me.
Yeah.
And I don't like really tough games because you pull something up here.
Yeah, it's a 7 o'clock game.
What have
Over
been the
under
American
60 points. I mean, this one is, if you want to watch points getting scored, this one's going to be the one to watch.
they're
Saturday.
in the American Conference, correct? No, are they in the American Conference?
Who? UTSA?
Yes.
Um, yeah. Yeah, they're in the American Conference. They should win the American Conference this year.
No, they ain't in American.
UTSA is an American. Yeah, they are.
All right. I just looked way in there.
Yeah, UTSA is an American. Charlotte, East Carolina, Florida Atlantic, Memphis, North Texas, Rice, SMU. SMU is sneaky good this year too. Florida, South Florida, Temple, Tulane, Tulsa, UAB.
Wait, so they are. So they are an American.
Yeah. Yep.
Hold on, let me get some pulled up. I got to write this. There it is. All right, so I'm with you. I think Houston struggles, but the only thing with Houston is that home field advantage.
Yeah, and that's a good advantage too.
To me, this is a tough one. Yes, and that's another hard place, very underrated place, but yet a hard place to play.
Yeah, extremely.
I had this one really close, man, and I'm gonna be honest with you. UTEP lost. I mean, UTSA's lost. Let's see. They're not evenly matched. So Houston. The only thing with me with this game is UTSA. This is their last five. Troy,
Yeah.
Troy was a really good team last year.
That was a great game too. That bowl game.
Great game. 18-12. University of North Texas. Okay, this is they won 48-27. Played UTEP 34-31 win. Bryce 41-7. Louisiana Tech 51-7. All right, that's their last five.
They're
Let's go to
smoking.
University. Exactly. Let's go to the University of Houston. The Raging Cajuns, they won 23-16. Lost to Tulsa 37-30. Beat the shit out of ECU 42-3. Beat Temple, beat SMU 77-63. Good God, I do reckon.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's two offensive juggernauts, man.
Yeah. So this was a toss up to me. As I said earlier, I'm still really undecided on this one. New quarterback for Houston, though. You don't know what you're really
Donovan
getting.
Smith, yeah.
I think I'm going to go with UTSA in this,
Yeah.
only from last year's success. And like I said, they did play a really good Troy team, and they only lost by 6 to Troy in the bowl game. So they really didn't get blown out of the water.
They should have won that game. The refs straight cheated them out of penalties, man. Like, it was bad.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm gonna pick UTSA in that one.
An underrated logo as well, in my opinion. But like that's just me. I love
Yes.
the
Yes.
daggone Roadrunner. Okay. Next game we have is Boise State at Washington. Washington is favored by 14 points. Boise State not as good as they were, but still a sneaky game here. Who do you got?
I think Michael Penix Jr. has a day and Washington wins more than 14.
Ooh, you're saying Washington. I agree. I don't think Boise State. It's not the Boise State that beat Virginia Tech, or it's not the Boise State that beat Oklahoma in the bowl game. Like it's kind of lost their luster a little bit. I think Michael Penix shows out. Pac-12, man, they're gonna demolish themselves, and they just need to get their offenses running and gunning. So I agree. Okay, and then we start our Saturday slate here outside of the UTSA Houston game. First game, and I'm super excited for this game. TCU or Colorado at TCU. TCU is favored by 20.5 points. New quarterback, a bunch of transfer players. They lost their number one running back, number one quarterback, number one receiver. This game was tough for me because I'm a big believer in Coach Prime, and I'm still kind of undecided on it. So I'm going to let you speak your piece before I make my pick.
Yeah.
Because my heart, I'm going to tell you what I'm going through right now. My heart tells me Colorado. My heart tells me Colorado because of Prime, because I'm a huge Prime fan. But my head tells me TCU, man. Like they're just Colorado isn't there yet. I don't. But the
All
question
right.
is with
So
this,
this is
right?
what I
Is
have.
Does Shador Sanders can he do what he did at Jackson State in a D1 level? I think he can. I'm talking myself into it. Don't do it. Don't. All right, what you got?
So with
Come
me,
on. Let me stop
the
talking.
only thing the only thing that concerns me is you lost Max Duggan.
Aiden
Okay.
Morris was
You
supposed to be
lost
the starter last year until he got hurt, though.
exactly. You also lost Garrett Riley.
Well, they lost Keandre Miller and Quentin Johnston.
But I think Sonny Dykes is going to bring it back to the promised land. I've got TCU. But don't count Shadur Sanders out from being player of the week.
Ooh,
Because
I like
this
that.
could
I like
also
that.
be this could also be an upset of the week too. This is what's kind of, but see, my gut's telling me TCU because it's at TCU, and
Yeah.
Dion's got the players in, but you know how first year coaches typically do. I'm
Well,
not
first,
saying that he's like the rest of them.
right. It's first year coaches. It's now granted he's gotten a better roster than most first year coaches, but it's the depth I think that I'm worried about. Like if somebody gets hurt on Colorado, do they have the depth? And I don't think they
Well,
do.
also Colorado lost one of their main transfer portals because of ineligibility. I believe that was an All American.
Mm. Yeah, I'm going with
I
TCU as
saw that.
well. I need to be
Oh
smart with
no, go with
picks.
Colorado. Oh no, go with Colorado, Mister.
No, I'm going to speak on Colorado later with my no worry upset of the week pick. Uh,
See, we're both probably going to agree.
I have a lot to say about them, so I'll save it for then. Um, Underrated color matchup again. I love TCU's colors. I love Colorado's colors. I think that might be fun,
Man, I tell
especially
you
with
what,
Dion there. It's gonna be fun. Dion's gonna make Colorado
I'm
fun.
not a huge, I'm not a huge Colorado fan, man, but I really want one of those T-shirts that says "I'm not hard to find."
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love that shit. I love Dion in general, man.
Dion is the best, man. He should have been if he was at Florida State, man, I would be 1,000% on Florida State's bandwagon right now. Okay, next game we had another big one, the second or the tie for the biggest spread as well. West Virginia at Pitt, or I mean, West Virginia at Penn State. Penn State's favored by 20.5 as well. I don't think there's much to say on this one, but this is a coming out party for Drew Aller to kind of get his jitters going. I think I think he rolls. I mean, he's played it a little bit. He played in 10 games last year. I'm excited to see him. I This is the downfall of Neil Brown, man. I don't. I want to see West Virginia good again. They're just not going to be this year. I have Penn State.
Yes, I got Penn State big. I think it goes back to what I said earlier in the year. Browns want to get blown out the water against West Virginia.
Yep.
That's when the hot seat's going to start starting. Fan base is
He's
going to be
fired by week
pissed.
5. He's fired by week 5.
Dude, I got him by 3 or 4.
Well, the bye week's week 5. That's the only reason why I said it. But yeah, I agree.
Okay. So yeah, unfortunately, I think the days of the visor with Neil Brown are coming to an end real soon.
I was surprised he wasn't fired last year because that team was just bad.
Oh yeah,
They
dude.
had
Yeah, I mean,
so many talented athletes and they just couldn't do it. All right, the next game here, the next 3 games we got pretty much spotlighted games. Game day will be at this one. Another great uniform matchup, I think, as well. I've been saying it quite a bit, but I really do think all of them are. UNC versus South Carolina. UNC is favored by 2.5 points right now. Battle in Charlotte, North Carolina, which we potentially will be at next year for the Tennessee NC State game. Maybe. We'll see. Um, who do you got on this one, man? Because I got some things to say.
you're really asking me the dumbest question I've ever heard you ask.
Okay, you're gonna go with South Carolina. I was gonna give you a chance to pick Drake May. Do you think
Dude,
UNC's
Spencer
no
Rattler.
biased opinion? No biased opinion. Do you think UNC's defense
No,
got even a
I hate.
smidge better?
Dude, if I could make that a license plate and would not be key in the state of Virginia, a license plate would say "Hate UNC."
Yeah.
I cannot stand North Carolina. They get away with everything with infractions. I can't stand it. The football team does good the first 5 or 6 weeks. They start sucking ass, and then they're basketball fans. Stick with your team through and through.
So you're putting all your
Can't
faith
stand them.
in Spencer Rattler.
No, I'm putting all my faith in Shane Beamer, damn it. I think he got screwed out of the Virginia Tech job.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
No, you got me pissed off on this one. I think Spencer Rattler picks up from last year when they whooped Clemson's ass. I think they all gel together. The only thing that I think is going to hurt South Carolina, which is South Carolina travels good to Charlotte because I went to the game when NC State had Ryan Finley, Jalen Samuels,
Yeah, I mean they're both
Naeem Hines. Yeah, 28 the 21, I think, was the final score. We should have won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Open the kickoff. South Carolina packed half that stadium, and NC State packed the other half. South Carolina travels really good, which is I think they can make this a home game, but it's hard to do that in Charlotte with North
Yeah.
Carolina. I'm not saying Drake May does not have a good performance. I think he lights it up like everybody expects him to this year. But something about this South Carolina team, man, with Shane Beamer,
Yeah.
to me, I think South Carolina wins. They're not going to win if it comes down to it. It's either going to be a game-winning field goal or a touchdown.
Yeah,
That's how close it's going to be to me.
this one was the hardest one to pick, I think, for me. The over under 64.5, like 1,000% hammer the over. Like they're going over 64.5 points. I'm picking UNC, so we'll be different on this one. And the reason why I'm picking is because I trust Drake May more than I trust Spencer Rattler. That's not to say that Spencer Rattler at his best and Drake May at his best, I think, is a coin flip. So if that comes down to it, I don't know, man. Like I can't pick Spencer Rattler. I love Shane Beamer. I can't pick Spencer Rattler, man. Like I cannot pick him. So I'm going UNC. I think it's a shootout.
Yeah, but dude,
I think
UNC lost the offensive. UNC lost their offensive coordinator.
I think it's 45-42, bro. Win by a field goal, like you said.
Oh, good for you, bro. Yeah, they're gonna win by a field goal. You'd be disappointed.
I very
Go
much
Cox.
tend to be disappointed with this game, but I and the next one was very difficult for me as well. The next one is our Sunday night game. It was a shit show of a game last year, LSU versus FSU in Orlando this year. LSU was favored by 2.5 points. Um, I'm going with FSU because I hate Brian Kelly and I don't think LSU is going to win more than 8 games this year. I'm just going to keep it simple. I don't think Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. I don't think their defense, the defensive backs are good. Yeah, they got the defensive lineman. I can't think of his name. That's amazing, but like I don't. They're Jordan Travis is too fast, and I think he's a better player than Jaden Daniels. I hate Brian Kelly. I hope he has his shoes untied every 2 seconds.
So this one was, like you said, another tough one for me. Dude, I think this is a coming out party from Mike Norvell and Jordan Travis. I think they recruited really well. I think they had the boys ready to play. Dude, I got FSU in this one. I'm gonna tell you, to me, I think if FSU wins this one, everybody's on notice.
I worry that if FSU does win this one, that they overlook Clemson in week 4.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't have a hiccup if you win this one like most teams do. You have a play a really good game, and then you have a bump in the road that demolishes everything that you work for in week 1 against LSU.
Yeah.
But I have Florida State in this one.
Yeah, I do as well. Okay, and then the last game on the schedule is Clemson at Duke. This one was kind of tricky, man. I love Riley Leonard. I love, and it's at Duke. I have Clemson winning it. I wanted to pick Duke. I really, really did, but I can't pick Duke yet. Give them one more 9-4 season, 9-3 season, and then I will pick them. But I have too much faith in K Klubnik. I have too much faith. I know I shitted on Will Shipley in the ACC preview, but he's going to score. Like he's a workhorse, and I have faith that Clemson has actually found some receivers. Their defense, we know what their defense is going to be. I love Mike Elko at Duke. I really do. I think Duke got a steal of a hire with Mike Elko, which notice on coaching carousel next year for a bigger program to hire him. But I have Clemson winning this one as well. Clemson's favored by 13, by the way.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me because we had talked earlier in the year that I thought this could possibly be an upset.
Oh no, I think it can still
If
be
you
an
remember.
upset. I'm not confident in saying Clemson,
Right,
but I'm saying Clemson.
right. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I have Clemson as my pick. I think Klubnik put on like 12, 15 more pounds of muscle this off season.
Yeah.
You got Garrett Riley coming in. I think you're going to see Clemson spread the ball out more as far as throwing the ball.
Yeah, new offensive coordinator. Yep.
Yep. And I think Will Shipley has a 2 to 3 touchdown game.
Yeah.
But I think in the first half,
It'd be close.
Clemson struggles.
Yeah. I can see that. I can
Yes, I
see
think it's going to be a tight game in the first half, but I think Clemson comes out in the second half after the adjustments in the locker room, and I think that's when they take over.
Yep, I agree with that as well. Okay, so the only games that we've differed on is the Florida Utah game, and the UNC South Carolina game. You could take an early lead this year. I know I think it beat you by 10 games last year. It was really, really close with the amount of games that we picked. Still early in the season. I do have 10 locks, and I'm just gonna run through them real quick. And feel free to stop me if you want to talk about them. I have West Virginia at Penn State. I'm taking Penn State minus 20.5. Like you said earlier, they're winning by 30 points. I think I firmly believe that. LSU versus FSU. FSU plus 2.5. I think FSU is going to win outright. So obviously I'm going to take that. UNC South Carolina. I have over 64.5. I think it's a shootout. I think that's the only way South Carolina can win. And I think that's the only way UNC can win, to be candid. I have Colorado at TCU. I'm taking Colorado and the points. A lot of people are saying that TCU is going to beat them by 25 or more. I have faith in Prime.
No,
ECU
I think it's
at
gonna be closer than what you think.
ECU at Michigan, over 51.5. I think Michigan might be able to score 51 by themselves, but I also firmly believe that we could see an Appalachian State type game where they go into the big house and win.
No,
Harbaugh's not coaching,
they lost it.
but I think that's over 51.5. Nevada at USC. I have Nevada plus 38. I don't think USC's defense is shit, and I'm gonna take the points every chance I can get against USC. So I think Nevada covers it. Oregon State at San Jose State. Oregon State's favored by 16.5 points. I'm going to take them by more than 16.5 points. Big believer in Oregon State this year. Best freshman running back, great returning defense, and your favorite player, DJ Uiagalelei, I think is going to have a coming out party. NC State at UConn. I have NC State by winning more than 14 points. Like I said before, I think Brennan Armstrong has a strong day. As much as I hate to say it, I love MJ better. I think we see MJ in the second half, which is why I think you, Libby, and Uncle Mark are going to hate me for saying that. Then I have Stanford at Hawaii. I have Hawaii plus 3.5. I love Hawaii's team, man. And I don't know if Stanford's going to be any good this year as well. So I have Hawaii winning that and even them winning it outright. And then UVA at Tennessee. Tennessee's favored by 28 points. I think they win by 30 or more. I think Joe Milton has his I think Joe Milton has
I would give them 40 plus.
so I have them, So I have them winning big, especially since it's at Tennessee. UVA's dog shit. So okay. So we're gonna go player of the week here. Who do you think of this week is gonna be the player of the week?
I don't know, man. I got two. Can we do two?
You can do two. I'll give you two.
I think one's going to be Jordan Travis from FSU,
Ooh, I like that.
and I think the other one, yeah, yes, and I think the other one is going to be Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. Even though they lose, I think he will be
Yeah.
one of the in consideration for player of the week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll crown them ourselves. We'll kind of get in agreement. You can crown your own player of the week. This is just your prediction. And I'll do the same for mine as well. I think I'm gonna do I want to pick two? Yeah, I'm gonna pick two. I'm gonna pick Nick Singleton from Penn State, the running back. This is the one that I kind of just picking on the fly. I think he has 200 plus yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. And then I think Joe Milton. I have to pick Joe Milton. I think everybody's doubting him right now. The dude's got probably the strongest arm I've ever seen. I think he finally puts it together in year 5. So I'm going to go Joe Milton here as my player of the week. And then your upset of the week. Now, this upset of the week does not
That's
count
not a bad
against.
pick.
Huh?
That's not a bad pick in Joe Milton.
No, I don't think so as well. And if Tennessee wants to have any success, he has to play well. Upset of the week. Now, this doesn't go against our records. This is just kind of fun to kind of put an upset of the week. Now, an upset of the week has to be, I didn't put this in our text that I sent you. It has to be more than like a 5 to 7 point spread. Like, let's be bold on these upsets. And I'm going with Colorado at TCU. I'm a believer in Prime. I wanted to pick them outright anyways in our picks. I want to see what he can do with the D1 program. I know it's 1 year. He's got 51 new transfers in. It is Colorado. I just believe in him. I think Shador, like you said, I think he's better than people think. I think he's super underrated in his athleticism. I mean, he's Deion Sanders' kid. Like his athleticism's insane. And then Travis Hunter, I'm excited to watch him play on a bigger stage because he's playing both sides of the ball. He's playing receiver and cornerback. A sneaky underrated dark horse Heisman if Colorado has any success. Travis Hunter. So I'm picking Colorado over TCU.
You're probably gonna laugh at mine, but with history as it repeats itself, can you take a guess of who mine is? It's in. I'll give you the hint. One of the teams is in the ACC.
ACC. Let me look up here.
Yeah.
One of the teams, and we didn't. I assume we probably didn't talk about them tonight because we only talked about like 3 or 4 ACC teams.
No.
Who was ACC playing? It is it the Miami game?
No. I got ODU going into
Ah,
Blacksburg, upsetting Virginia Tech. Year number
yeah,
3.
I thought about that one too. Man, I wish Tech was good, man.
So my upset of the week. Upset of the week. I know. I think Tech's going to be better. I really do. I think that year 2 on the Brent Pry, I think the defense is going to be a little bit better. Uh, to me, it's just the offense, man. They're going. I think they're going back with the same. I don't know, have they even announced who their starting quarterback was?
They haven't announced the starting quarterback,
Did
but
they
they
end up going
also
with Grant
have
Wells?
they have they have ODU's #1 receiver from last year though. They got him in the transfer.
Yeah, but that's one player.
Well,
Yeah,
you
that's
know
one
how
player.
Lane gets when Lane's rocking, man. If Lane's rocking,
Well, and ODU's defense, their coach did say that they've been blaring Enter Sandman all week during practices. So,
best entrance
to
to
me,
college
man, I think
football.
we're 100%. To me, man, I think that's probably going to be the upset of the week for me since it don't count only because of history. ODU has played Virginia Tech pretty good last couple of years. I mean, what they beat them last year. Didn't they beat them the year before? Or was last year the
They
only?
beat him in the last 2 years. I can't remember which one it was.
So I have ODU squeaking by against Tech. I think that's going to come down to either a field goal, possibly an interception to seal it.
Yeah, that one might be a fun game to watch as well because ODU is better than people think as well. Like, I don't want to say like Virginia Tech should be favored by any means. They should be because they're a bigger school, but ODU is no slouch, man. So
What's the favorite on that? What do they have on that as far as the spread?
I think Virginia Tech was
Was Tech favored in that?
16. I want to say. Let me look real quick.
You got to remember Tech's been favored the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's
So
at night.
I
It's at
don't know.
night at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's favored by 16. I mean, that at night, man, that's a bold pick. That at night at Lane Stadium gives Virginia Tech 3 points, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, are the students going to show up or are they going to be drunk in the parking lot?
They might be. So,
Because they shut down classes.
yeah, for sure. All right, well, that's our picks for this week, man. Exciting 5 days of college football. Not moving off the couch all day on Saturday. I already sent you the picture of the TV schedule for Saturday, and you're like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. Remember to rate our podcast on all the podcast platforms. If you liked us, if you didn't like us, just how you doing? Keep it moving. We're not good enough to play college football, but we do like to judge on it. That's an inside joke. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Remember to spread the news. Got some big things in the works, man. I'm trying to get some big things coming here. We might have might have a guest next week. I know somebody, favorite guest from last year might want to come on next week with the Notre Dame NC State game. So we'll see if she wants to do it. If not, as
Oh,
somebody else
yeah.
who might want to come on as well. So thank you guys for listening here.
Shout out. I'll give a shout out to Charity Hill Farm and Beef. If you guys are in the Virginia area, make sure you give my buddy Chris a call. Local farm raised beef. You guys looking for any steaks or anything or burgers for the Labor Day weekend, please give him a call. If not, reach out to Donovan. I can give you all his number.
Yep.
A good friend of mine, got a good thing going on. So,
Yep. Good quality products as well. I can attest to that as well. We went to high school with them. Good product, good family. Can't speak highly enough of them as well. So
great guy.
Yep. Give them a shout, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.